that it's going to be that's a little too easy if Loki ended up on the throne. I don't know.
It's kind of cute.
It's very cute, and it would wrap the show very nicely in a bow. And I think that the one thing this show's proven is that anything can happen, anything will happen, and that you don't know where it's going to go. I mean.
Welcome back to the Breakroom on YouTube. I'm John Costa, and joining me today are Coy Jandreau.
Let's talk Loki and certain mothers ice skating uphill.
No,
I caught
not
that
in the
reference.
rundown for today, but Blade is rated R.
Confirmed.
I censored it because it's
Tom
the top of YouTube.
Michelsen.
Hey guys, we can talk about that. We can talk about whatever you want, but we're mostly gonna talk about Loki. But yeah,
That's all I had to say. I got it out of my
got-
and I said it's censored. I said the Walmart version.
No, and I still caught it.
And-
I still caught it.
Miss Minutes.
Hey!
Ooh, sultry. Hey, this is going to be the last episode of our Loki Doomsday watch because, well, it's happened. Also, Loki ends this week, so that's
Mostly that,
part of it too. If you haven't already, be sure to watch all of our other coverage on Loki. There's some great stuff on the Breakroom, as well as the new Rockstars channel. Eric put out this great video about Loki becoming the god of stories, which we're kind of going to get into today. But the main focus of today's Breakroom episode is we're taking your theories from Reddit, if you're a Redditor, and we're going to dissect them. Do we agree? Do we disagree? Is any of this going to come true? We'll sprinkle in our own theories here and there, but this is sort of our last theory day. And, you know, hey, maybe one of us is planning on going rogue. I'm not going to say it. Different show. But, you know, maybe. So, ahead of the finale, which is kind of its own doomsday when you think about it. Let's get into some of the theories. Let's get into some of these predictions. The first one that I think is like the popular Reddit theory right now, and I want to get your guys' opinion, is that Loki is going to just end up sort of at the desk, at the Citadel at the end of time. He is the new He Who Remains. His whole like thing this season has been, we have to save the TVA, blah, 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 blah. Everyone thinks that now that Victor Timely's out of the picture, now that He Who Remains is out of the picture, who's going to do the work?
Well, we saw a stadium full of Kang, so we
I
know
feel like they got some spares.
they got some people on the roster that could come in and take over if they wanted. But no, I think that it's going to be a little too easy if Loki ended up on the throne. I don't know.
It's kind of cute.
It's very cute, and it would wrap the show very nicely in a bow. And I think that the one thing this show's proven is that anything can happen, anything will happen, and that you don't know where it's going to go. I mean, you know, I think me and a lot of other people assumed that the show would end in 12 Monkeys style, where, you know, Loki would prune himself at that moment in the beginning, but they wrapped that up in like episode 3 or something like that.
4?
Yeah, 4. It was
Yeah.
just something where it's like, wait, we're not gonna go into this, and so after that white light hit, and now with him traveling to different times to find his crew again, like, you know, there's a lot that could happen actually.
The show likes to be cyclical, and it likes its mirroring, and obviously we have 2 Ouroboroses, one between Kang and OB and one between Loki and OB, and we've seen how Ouroboros, the character, has caused the Ouroboros of the TVA inventing itself, right? So we've seen the ability to make certain devices mirroring back to OB, and we've seen that Loki was one of the helpful originators of the TVA. I think it would kind of undermine those 2 Ouroboros if we negate all of that by having it just be Loki at the end. So in some ways I could see...
Ouroboros sounds like
Ouroboros.
something
you don't want to catch in
Italian
Vegas.
rice.
Yeah.
I like that better. But I feel like you would kind of negate all that with the God of Stories stuff, because in the comics especially, the God of Stories is a very like OP character. Like he's got a lot that he can do now. Right. And I feel like we developed that really beautifully in 5. And the first 4 episodes were, as you were saying, this beautiful cycle. And then 5 almost is like a new origin, like a power-up episode. I think it would feel very lackadaisical if 6 ends with like, and now that he's powerful, he's going to be behind a desk.
Yeah.
Like if he goes from the God of Mischief to the God of Stories to a desk worker, like
to the God of Desks.
So I've seen that theory a lot, but yeah, the God of Desks is like a bellhop for Asgard. I just don't see it working out for the narrative of Loki. I think he's going to be the God of Stories, and he's going to be more of an almost eternal celestial living tribunal-esque character. I think he's going to be more cosmic.
That's a big.
It's the opposite of the desk.
That's a big promotion.
Yeah, I think he goes up. So I see him as being someone behind the scenes that can manipulate things on a cosmic scale. And I think my biggest prediction tying into that is Kang has been voyeuristic this whole time. If you look how Justin and Aaron especially shot these episodes, a lot of the angles feel like you're watching in the way they subtly have movements. They use some handheld, and some of the times you can see things happening, especially with He Who Remains. I imagine this is all, especially with the way that Kang delivers the book to He Who Remains delivers the book to Victor Timely by way of Ravonna. I see this as all big manipulation from Kang from the beginning, so I don't think he'd want Loki to end up in his desk. I see this as a big Kang power-up episode 6, where we meet the Kang that's actually worth fighting ants.
Ravonna giving Victor Timely as a child the TVA handbook was not a contingency plan, it was plan A.
It was his plan all along.
Plan A.
I think plan
create
A
himself,
for Kang
right? Yeah.
was the moment that He Who Remains, which he wanted that to happen, He Who Remains gets knifed, which Kang wanted. That book was already on its journey the whole time, and I think this is all one big Ouroboros. I think Kang Dynasty is going to be a love story between Kang, Ravonna, that takes place before, during, and after the events of Loki season 1 and 2.
I will take your Ouroboros and slide it down my gullet.
Delicious. It's a rice
Time
dish.
sandwich.
Somehow.
Yeah.
With my own Ouroboros. And we were talking about this a little bit before the stream. I think it would be really interesting if this season ends and we realize the whole time that it's a pseudo prequel to the first season.
Which is fun.
Where you basically now have Loki going to these branch timelines, getting these variants. They're now the first employees of the TVA. This is how the TVA gets crafted. And, you know, in some kind of circular fashion, the TVA gets its start now in perpetuity. And with Loki being able to time slip again, time slips, saves Victor Timely's life, and basically sets him up to be He Who Remains.
Do you think
in that way.
Loki would have the power to allow them to live on their own timeline as the God of Stories and be a variant? Because if he steals them, he's taking Owen and Wilson away from his kids. Mobius is getting robbed of his children.
Right. They've already, by setting that up, you're
Like
already.
you're literally
you
like,
know,
hey, I know you were happy.
There's
jet
no
ski
way of
seller.
ending it. Yeah, exactly.
Was he
Other than
happy?
to have.
He was happier than
Yeah, I
a
think so.
mindless key lime pie eating. I think I love my job. He's in the upside down.
Well, so I think my theory kind of matches or can fit somewhere in between that, because I think that what might actually end up happening is that the TVA might evolve into something new, where maybe he can have the TVA and his kids too. It might. I think this is the opportunity to
Severance. He can clock in.
Yeah, he clock in,
out.
clock out, exactly. Except maybe he'll get to know and remember each.
Because I love that idea. I just hope it would be some sort of like variance splitting timeline, so the original does live on.
Well,
because nursing kids, like you take a nurse off this planet.
Sure. And I think that the reason why there has to be a discussion about it in the finale is because they brought it up twice in this season, I think. Once at the bar in this most recent episode between Loki and Sylvie, and he was sort of like, we've never been able to give them the choice. And Sylvie was like, you can't give them the choice. It's fucked up if you do. And I think it happened earlier in the season too at some point where, you know, it was the opposite. They were like, well, I never knew my life on the timeline and no one ever gave me the choice. So I do think there will be a time in episode 6 where these variants will have to make a decision of, do I want to do TVA? Do I want to go home?
I still hope nothing is firmly solved. I would like the series to end with like, hey, stuff exploded. We still need to fix this, and that causing ramifications throughout the MCU. I would be personally bothered if this is like buttoned up.
Head writer Eric Martin has said there will not be a cliffhanger finale for this season. I'm similar to you in that sort of disappointed me.
Yeah.
New Rockstars is the speculation channel, and I love when something ends on a cliffhanger and we get to sit around and be like, oh, what if this happens? Or what if that happens?
Well, at the same time, that doesn't mean that future writers can't come down the line and make something happen to that. But you know, I think what they're trying to do is maybe there's no finale here because they're teeing it up to where it's going to fit into Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars and all that stuff. So instead of Loki ending up on the chair, I've said it before on the channel, I think that Sylvie might end up in the chair and becoming She Who Remains. I mean, as someone who used to be persecuted by the TVA and wanting nothing to do with them, to have to then be in charge and help create this new way forward where maybe people do get a chance, maybe they don't get a chance. And letting branches live, you know, and that's what I mean by it might end up being something different than we even know, and that way it could still exist, it could still have a purpose, And then Loki could be, you know, the god of stories that could be out there maybe in the field taking care of stuff and getting him ready for where he's going to be and all the, you know, all the new Avengers movies coming out moving forward.
So it sounds like the one thing that we all kind of agree on is Loki probably doesn't end up behind the desk.
Or if it does, we'll be very disappointed.
We have
Yeah,
We'll
I
be
just
very
don't see it working well.
It'll just, that's too neat. Yeah.
it's a little bit of a sideline move. Now we have a dead Loki in 616. We don't know what Marvel wants to do with this character. Tom and I were talking before the show. Such a fun character, even though he has had closure in, you know, prime timeline MCU. He'll probably get some kind of closure at the end of the show.
As a character,
you do
maybe,
sort of
yeah.
want to see more of Loki. Maybe we've already answered this question in different ways. You want him as a field agent. You want him as sort of this like elevated cosmic being. But, you know, that's the question. Is like, what will Loki do next if he survives
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
does not have to stay at the TVA? Is there a Marvel path forward for him? Is it maybe just like being the wise old man for Kang Dynasty, being like, okay, you beat him with ants, but like here's the serious way how to do it?
I feel like he still needs to be mischievous. I feel like it would be
yeah.
really undermining Tom Hiddleston. I get that he's discovered himself, and you know, the therapy of watching yourself evolve is very important to the character arc. But I feel like if he's too regal and too removed, then that eliminates some of the core of what Loki is. So I'd like him to be powerful, and I'd like him to be like this cosmic overseer. But I feel like he still should be. There's got to be an element of tinkering, like with mortals' affairs. Like I mean, it was 10 years, 15, whatever. Between 15 and 10 years ago now, that Avengers happened. So like clearly that's growth, but I don't want him too good.
2012.
It's interesting
11 years.
because yeah, he's one of the few Phase 1 heroes left. I mean,
Yeah.
actors even in the MCU, and I hadn't really thought about that before. But yeah, maybe this is it. Maybe this episode will be a swan song for Tom Hiddleston. I hope not. I hope it's not. But who knows? I mean, I think it would only from that business side of it. I think as long as the character's still interesting in doing new things, I think that's what'll bring actors like Tom Hiddleston back to the project for future roles. So yeah, they're gonna have to give him something new, something meaty, something different to sink his teeth into. Otherwise, yeah, it's kind of just the same thing over and over again. And then what's the point, you know, creatively?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I assume Marvel wants some of these legacy
As
characters.
much as they can.
As much as they can, yeah.
Especially when Loki, the show, is kicking ass right now. But I agree, you know,
It has to evolve.
you can't tell the same story over and over again.
Right.
Okay, so this kind of ties hand in hand with the Loki God of Stories. We talked about that sort of his role in the comics right now. Eric just put out a video on the new Rockstars channel about this today, I think. And the TLDR version of this is sort of like after fusing, this is a comics thing, after fusing with the all-seeing eye, Loki reconciles with every past and future version of himself to become the God of Stories, getting the power to rewrite history and make reality into what he wants to be. He can time slip now in the MCU, could go anywhere, do anything, seemingly.
That's what I'm saying. Cosmic's pretty big power.
Yeah.
I was sort of Googling like the exact definition of a Nexus being earlier today because I think he's sort of starting to fit into
Definitely.
that category. So it's clear that they're setting up some version of this in the show. So you know, how far will Loki rewrite reality if he could? He's had a lot of personal tragedy in his life. This version of Loki, not really.
Yeah, he kinda
His
skipped
father is
ahead.
still alive. His mother is still alive. His brother still alive.
Two-eyed.
He's right. His brother still has two eyes. Ragnarok has not happened.
Yep.
Yeah. So is this God of Stories gonna be, you know, the selfish Loki that we've seen before and try to sort of like rewrite his future?
I think he
or
learned
is
enough.
he sort of like, well, that's life.
I think he learned from that experience in season 1. Like, he didn't need to go through the trauma to have the traumatic, like, you know, mental therapy of getting through it. And he's like learned friendship, especially the last few episodes. I mean, the first season he really learned
Mobius,
friendship
yeah.
with Mobius. This season it looks like he's learned a lot of friendship with like this whole. He assembled the, you know, little.
Got the band back
Loki
together.
Avengers.
Yeah, the Loki Avengers are strong. So, and that wouldn't have happened if his maturation hadn't occurred. So I don't know if he needed the trauma to get to this point again. But like, you know, if you're gonna assemble, you know, your little Suicide Squad of time, then you're gonna have to earn it. So I feel like we're going to see more progression, especially if he's going to be that overpowered. I don't know how you can use that character in other properties, though. Like, if you have a character that powerful, you're looking at, Galactus and Beyonder problems, which even in the comics they don't know how to use well. There's a reason he became a space cloud in the movies. Like, there's trickiness. I mean, the Beyonder's literally a guy in a tracksuit with jerry curls. Like, there's certain things that don't work in both mediums.
And it's funny you mentioned the Beyonder. We're going to get to a Reddit theory about the Beyonder here in a minute.
I mean, I do think there is an element of, and that's one of my theories, is if they don't introduce the Beyonder, will they make Kang into somewhat of a Beyonder? Will they make Doom into somewhat of a Beyonder? Will they make Loki into somewhat of a Beyonder? I don't know if that'd be smart, but I could see it being like, hey, we've got this legacy character. Tom Hiddleston can act his eyeballs out. If we're going to make him the be-all, end-all Loki, what if that makes him Beyond Loki? I don't think it's going to happen, but I can see it.
Yeah, I think that, to answer your question, I don't think we're past evil Loki at this point. There was even a scene, I don't remember exactly what happened, but there was a scene I think with him and Sylvia in front of the key lime pie and vending machines where he even talked about some things, how he used to be in his past, and he's not that person anymore.
Yeah.
And so, moving forward, even, if he becomes the god of stories, which is, what we all think they're leading into, I think there could be something where, he tries to use his power wisely and not, for a selfish gain. And I just realized this too, because in the comics, he can write down in a book and then that changes history. Maybe they're changing it for the movies where he'll time slip and actually change physically what happens in the past, come back and work it that way. They have a lot of different things they could do moving forward. But yeah, the days of evil Loki, selfish Loki, I think are in the past. I think we're going to get a different person moving forward.
It's also way too multiversal of a universe to clean it up without a character like that. So maybe that's how they utilize Loki is like, hey, we got Fox coming in confirmed. Looks like Sony's coming in. We got Madam Web coming out. I don't think Loki's going to be in Madam Web, but I do think we've got a lot of disparate universes that need to get cohesive.
Right. One thing I was thinking about today is how it'd be fun, speaking of like writing stories, what if in all of his grand powers as the god of stories, Loki can take different shapes in different universes, and he becomes the Kevin program in She-Hulk to help her write her. Like, he actually could literally go into different Marvel stories and help rewrite and retcon, and that could be one thing of working in, because that would make She-Hulk make sense in a sense, in a way. And it would just be fun. They could do anything really, which is what's really fun about this idea.
I was thinking him being a watcher, but that's also,
Yeah, it's something outside of space and time.
Right,
Because
outside
I
of Disney
maintain
Plus.
it's still multiple universes. I know the internet likes to give me shit, but I do not think She-Hulk takes place in the exact same universe as Captain America, especially with a character like Kevin.
They do.
I think they
Yellow suit Daredevil
is
She-Hulk, and red suit Daredevil's an Echo.
And I think the worlds are going to collide in a secret war.
That'd be interesting. I hadn't thought of that.
I think it's coming. I think literally Kang Dynasty is going like, by the way, we've been doing all this, and then Secret Wars like, it's coming together, and then the end of Secret Wars is like, okay, thank God that's over. Now we can tell one story of Fantastic Four and X-Men and make it cohesive again. And then all the Fairweather fans and all the people that have been mad can come back together, and then people can find new things to fight about over nothing.
Right.
So they made interesting story decisions in phases 4 and 5 so that they could
write themselves
I
out.
honestly-
more excited after Secret
They clean it
Wars.
up, and then they can retcon the characters that didn't work. It was a test run. Keep the ones that do, and they can bring in the Fox characters for a goodbye, like Deadpool 3. Keep the Sony characters that work. If the crazy rumor that had no source is true, with like I don't know if you guys do the top. Like everybody's like Tobey Maguire and Hugh Jackman doing Secret Wars. I'm like, who? Someone's mom said that in a bar, and now it's
right.
But like that story took off everywhere, and like the movie's gonna come out, and it's gonna be like not that. People are gonna be so mad. But my
People
point
did the
being,
same thing with Doctor Strange 2, where they thought there was going to be the
everyone
biggest
ever.
Yep, and it was.
But
not that.
what's scary is the timeline's getting like further away. Like people were saying that 6 months for Doctor Strange. Secret Wars hasn't started filming yet. Like what scares me is like we're getting to the point where if things don't happen 5 years from now, like the internet like flips its collective chessboard. But I do think it allows for a cleanliness of after Secret Wars. I think they can have all these experiments clean afterwards. Evan, I interrupted you twice, I think.
Superman Rex said, if they have Loki do a heel turn in the last episode once he gets the power, will that be the biggest character development journey in the history of cinema?
In the history of cinema?
In the history of cinema. So if he were to do some type of heel turn in the last episode, how would you guys like feel about that character development? I know you guys were talking about it a little bit, like whether or not it will happen. But if it were to happen, because season 1, Loki spent so much time, right, kind of like turning on everybody. But we do feel like by the end of season 1, he's kind of, reconciled all that.
Here's my question: did they pull it off?
I don't know.
I feel
because I think it'll be really hard to pull off.
That's a good point.
In which case I'll say like, no, it'll be shitty. if they pull it off somehow, right, and they justify it, and
Yeah.
it's been set up for the full season, and there's breadcrumbs that all
There's
of
a
us
hell
have
of
been
a
missing for
montage.
some
Yes,
reason.
a
They
montage.
show us
It's a
this
great
5-minute montage, and we're like, oh my God,
then,
he's
like,
been evil.
You know, sure.
Because otherwise, we're going to end up with a Jamie Lannister situation.
Yeah,
where
where
it's
I'm
going to
like,
be like, you did
"Oh."
not earn this, and it was not set up, and blah, blah, blah.
It would be
So-
much easier to Game of Thrones last season, the last episode, than it would be to make that heel turn work.
Correct.
I agree with that, like,
Unless
metaphor.
the final ep is 90 minutes long. Maybe,
Well,
Yeah,
maybe not even
Still,
that.
10-minute montage.
Yeah,
Final
10-minute
episode,
montage.
guys, rumored to be 54 minutes.
Finally, I feel like
Pretty good.
we've been on a trend of like a really short
Pretty good.
finale.
I'm okay with a nice feature,
Yeah,
almost
okay.
length, a nice animated feature-length episode.
Let's do it. Sign me up.
So, no is the answer to that question.
Cool. Superman Rex, there you go.
Sorry, Superman. Hey, guys, we want to thank our pals at Airscreen. There's so much content to watch. Just the new Rockstars universe of channels is putting out hours of videos a week, and that's before you flip on Disney Plus or Netflix. Not to mention we all have jobs to do and overflowing inboxes and Slack pages that just won't stop. What if I told you that you could have it all? Watch more content while still getting your work done. Our friends at Airscreen have come up with a way to do both. I shit you not, when they approached us about potentially sponsoring this show, Zach was so thrilled. He thought this was the coolest thing ever. Airscreen lets you watch seamlessly full-screen video content while maintaining productivity by letting you see through the windows you have open. Literally, your stuff becomes transparent. You can have work in the foreground and Loki in the background. Someone alert Eric Voss, this is his dream come true. Whatever you're doing, all of a sudden, you can fill out a spreadsheet or answer an email while still seeing the visual Easter egg that Eric is pointing out in the latest Loki episode. At my old job, I'm a big soccer fan, big soccer fan. At my old job, it was not as cool as New Rockstars. And I tried to like sneak watch soccer games at work because they're played in Europe, and so
Yeah.
they're like played
The
during the
upstream
work.
of it,
They're
yeah.
playing during the workday, and I like got caught, and it was sort of like, well, I have it on the second screen. I'm still doing my work, and so when I got caught, I then had to like switch to just taking really long lunch breaks and going to a sports bar. But if I had Airscreen, I wouldn't have gotten caught
Yep.
because your work is right in front of you. So you don't have to miss a big moment. You don't need to scramble to change tabs or minimize anything. Airscreen has been in early beta with beta testers and is just now coming out to the public. They're partnering with us because they're fans of New Rockstars. Who's not? And they think Airscreen is really going to connect with our audience. Try it out, see if you like it as much as we do. To download Airscreen, just head to airscreentv.com or click the link in the video's description. You'll get a 14-day free trial, no credit card info needed. But sign
That's
up.
confidence
Give
right
it
there.
Give it a shot. You know, it's free.
I like a company that doesn't require the credit card because that shows like, hey, we're not going to just charge you and surprise
product
you.
is good.
We're going to have you come back on purpose. I respect
Got a
that.
good
There
product.
you go. A couple more things. New Rockstars is putting up a live show in Los Angeles, not where we do this show,
Which is in Canada.
which is
Right,
in
which is
Canada.
kind of an undisclosed
But
location.
we're all flying to LA. We're going to Braindead Studios, which is in Hollywood somewhere on Fairfax, I believe. And that's November 16th. So that is next Thursday.
Next
I will be there. Evan might be there. I don't know.
I'll be there.
Evan will be there. Zach, Eric, Tommy. We might have some other special guests that we're still trying to book and confirm, but you'll be really excited about them. At New Rockstars live shows, we open the doors for dorks. Who wrote this?
Probably Berg.
If it was you, I would have felt bad. We open the doors for dorks, greet the geeks, and nurture the nerds. It'll be a night of trivia games and a bunch of stuff that we can't do on YouTube because YouTube won't let us. Like this! Ah! So if you're in the LA area, we'd love to see you there. You can get a ticket by clicking the link in the description or by heading to dice.fm and searching for New Rockstars. Tickets are limited because it is a physical space. So grab yours now, and we'll see you in person on November 16th. Also, guys, check out this shirt.
Dope.
We've got a lot of cool Lochi. We've got a lot of cool Lochi merch on the website right now. Grab a tee, support the Breakroom. Hey, Evan and I were just talking about Breakroom merch earlier today, and we're going to have some in the shop very soon. It's going to be sick as fuck. We also just put out an Echo shirt, which I also helped design, which I also think is really cool. It's Echo in ASL, spelling out her name, Echo, not, what is
The actress's name?
No, not Alakwa Cox.
Oh.
What's Echo's?
Maya Lopez?
Thank
Maya
you, guys.
Lopez. Yep.
We got there with
It
that
doesn't
team.
say Maya Lopez. It says Echo, and then
We read comic
the
stats.
knuckles are bloodied because she's a badass. So I don't know if
Cool.
you're excited for that show, like
Sounds
I
dope.
am.
That sounds great.
That
Yeah.
trailer was sick. Go grab one of those. Or hey, you're seeing the Marvels this week. Maybe you'll still have time to get the shirt in the mail. Grab a Flurkin tee. I don't like cats.
That's it. End of the
Well,
read.
I love
End of the
Flurkins.
read.
Thanks for joining us, guys.
That's
I
it.
See you
love
later.
Here's a dog guy. Got
Flurkins.
one.
So grab a Flurkin tee. It's really cool. It's like 3 little Flurkins that are kind of like dressed up as the characters from the Marvels, and there's little cat butts on the back. So head over to nerdright.shop. You know the drill by now. Let's get back to Loki. Okay, that was a long detour. Here's the thing. There's been some trailer footage. Now, it's always tough to bring up trailer footage. Some people don't want to be spoiled, and I get that. This isn't a spoiler. It's in the trailer. That's how we operate.
And some stuff doesn't even end up in the movie. It's in the trailer.
Sure, this is a show. One of the things we have seen is Ravonna in the Void. She got purged at the end of episode 4 by Brad/Sylvie. But what we haven't seen in trailer footage is like Alioth. We know that we're probably going to the Void at some point. We might go to the Citadel. We've not seen anything from Alioth. So this is a really interesting theory from Reddit user Destination7146, who theorized, He Who Remains never created Alioth. This is true. Well, unreliable narrator stuff. We don't know
that's true.
exactly
That's true.
how truthful He Who Remains was being, but like we'll take him at his word. He Who Remains never created Alioth, only found and weaponized its form. What if the convergence of all the destroyed timelines is what creates Alioth? You have like this crazy time loom thing exploding. We think that like proximity-wise, the sacred timeline and the void and all that kind of stuff is sort of around itself in space. So like, you know, maybe this like, we saw the like spaghettification kind of turning into this like
There's a
ashy,
pole.
smoky thing.
Yeah.
That would
It's an
tie into our
interesting
Ouroboros of like that would tie into your theory of him starting the TVA. That would tie into like a lot of things, and I do think the timey-wimey element to the show that wouldn't feel out of left field. It would
Right.
feel like an appropriate
Right.
way to be like, oh, clever. But I do worry. It's a good runtime. I'm excited. Like it seems like we're gonna have a decent runtime of the finale. I do worry if they try to tie in.
You can't
too
do
much.
an Alioth will never get an orange.
Yeah, you can't do too
Right,
much of like
right.
what's the void, what's her like. I hope it's like, oh, that's clever. Move on. Like we got a
Yeah.
lot to cover. That's my only
I
concern.
will say it's interesting because, you know, when we first saw that, the void, you know, it was like an empty wasteland. Now there's been billions, trillions of timelines purged, right? They all went there, right?
Sounds
when
like
they all
some
got
sort
purged.
of battle world.
but
Right,
we
so
do
I'm
know-
Sounds like a place
so
where
if-
things could converge that Doom might run.
Right, so I would want to see that, and I would love to see more Alioth and stuff. But yeah, what are they doing with that? Is that taking too much of a left field, like you said? To when we
I
don't need
think
to,
a
we don't need to
convergence of
answer
worlds.
every single thing.
Well, I suppose my question is like, is Alioth only eating organic matter,
Dude's hungry.
or is
Yeah.
Alioth eating more than that? Because Alioth is eating people.
I think
So-
organic matter, but
so-
then he makes like ships run rust, right, and stuff like that. So
He decays.
He decays
so imagine
things,
like
yeah, yeah.
You know,
inorganic,
it's
yeah.
over time.
Yeah.
Perhaps not. One of the Alioth theory that I like the most is that it was actually Ravonna that tamed Alioth, and she's going to be in the void and like, you know, I don't know, have some kind of interaction with Alioth.
Speaking of reliable narrator, that's a really good point because again, she wouldn't even know that. She could
Yeah.
easily say that
Right.
that was one of the things that was purged from
Can you
her memory.
imagine? You ever see those videos of like soldiers coming home from war and their dogs like freaking out?
Yeah.
that's what I
She's got
want
a
from
time
Ravonna.
void.
I want
Yeah.
Ravonna and Alioth.
That would be
big
amazing.
horse
You
she's
think it's
riding.
running up to like eat her, but then he comes for a pet. Yeah, that would be great actually.
Maybe doesn't work out with the size of a human and the size of Alioth, but
Right,
whatever.
right.
Okay, now the other sort of like thing from trailer footage is we kind of know that Loki is going to be back in the Citadel at the end of time, and it doesn't look like it's sort of the decayed Citadel that we've been seeing in this season of Loki. So it's leading a lot of people to think like that must be in the past. So the question is, will Loki fight Kang at all? Reddit user Intelligent Walrus 70 says, looks like Loki is the new He Who Remains. We disagree. And will protect the timeline going forward. He's going to build a team to stop Kang the Conqueror. And then Reddit user Raw and Wriggling theorized
What a
is
name.
King Loki. We've sort of seen some leaks about that. Gonna pull together his own battle world for a mini Secret War. So let's split those in two. This first thing is like, is Loki gonna show up to the Citadel and basically be like, well, I'm the new He Who Remains. You gotta get the fuck out of here, bud.
I don't think he's the new He Who Remains. I think he's going like, hey, you did something wrong. I'm writing it. I think it's more of a protagonist-antagonist stance than a like take your job stance.
They took our jobs.
Yeah, I don't see him as being like, I'm he now.
Yeah, I am the He Who Remains. I'm the one who knocks. Yeah, I
I'm the
agree.
one who remains.
Yeah, I'm the one who remains. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna go that cleanly either. I mean, on the one hand, yeah, we're definitely, I think, teeing up for some Kang and some fighting or however that ends up. And you know, because this show was already done and with post-production before all this unfortunate drama with I think Jonathan Majors came out. But I think that they're still very much on the Kang train because there's been a lot of speculation that Marvel might be switching gears now. So I think that we'll be getting there and they'll be fighting and stuff. But again, Loki being the one who remains now. I don't know. It would be too neat.
Come back to this video on Friday and absolutely tear us apart
Yes.
when Loki becomes
Let us know in the comments
He Who
how
Remains.
wrong or right we are.
So then that's the next question is like, okay, does this sort of like God of Stories put together his own battle world for a mini Secret Wars? Now, when I read this, I was sort of like, are you implying that this is going to happen in the final episode? There's no way.
I don't think it's a mini Secret Wars. I think this would be
It's the
Secret Wars.
So,
I think this world
will this series
That would make sense.
genuinely and legitimately be setting up Secret Wars, or is that storytelling for the future?
I mean, that does sound like a cliffhanger, and if dude was not just lying, then that would be. I mean, I can't imagine unless
It's happened before.
Yeah, I mean, unless we go to the setting and it's like crazy chaotic, and they don't give us too much, because obviously you also don't want that many cameos in a Loki episode. Like that would undermine Loki. But if they establish the physical space, don't call it Battle World. Don't establish people there, but we know that that's a thing, and that way at the end of Kang Dynasty or during Kang Dynasty, we go there, and then Secret Wars occurs there. I think it's good. Like you want to like Madripoor in Falcon Winter Soldier.
Yep.
I think Madripoor is going to be a big thing of X-Men. That doesn't undermine Falcon Winter Soldier. It's just like, hey, we gave you that a little early. I think that would be the equivalent
And it's
of
smart
Secret Wars.
it's smart for them to tie into what they have and make the enrich
one less
that
introduction.
Exactly, as opposed to make some brand new thing.
So I
It
think
would be way
this will be a
smarter to
Battle
do it that
World
way.
light.
At the very end of the season, you have Hunter B-15 staring into Battle World and saying, "It's a world for battle."
Yes. Just like we needed him to say, what are we, some sort of temporal squad? I wanted that.
Yeah.
They're all people. What did she say in episode 2?
Those are people.
Battle World.
My apologies to that actress. It wasn't your fault. Okay, we do have Miss Minutes here. So I want to do some final Doomsday prediction stuff. Let's assume, which I think is fair, that Loki time slipped. This is the last shot we saw in the episode was before the loom blew up. Okay? So now the question is, when does a Doomsday Next happen in the MCU? And what I will quantify this by saying any redos or retries of fixing the loom do not count, because we assume they're there beforehand to rectify.
Got it.
So if they fail by the end of the episode, I'll count that. But if they succeed by the end of the episode, I'm talking like, is a Doomsday event soon?
Like,
Is
will the
are we pushing
timeline Doomsday event be happening in another thing? You mean? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, right,
Because
right.
again, there's gonna be a point in which there can't be a billion multiverses all fucking with each
You
other.
go first, or me go first?
You go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. I got stuff.
Yeah. Oh, let's do it.
I don't know if we're framed. Oh, are we framed for this?
Can I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, so I wasn't here for episode 5, but you may remember everyone else was saying we were like here, and I was like, no, and I was right. So I think, again, we are probably about here after the last episode, because this is a lot of wiggle with time jumping and like all that power and stuff. So I'm going to say we're going to only scooch a little bit closer, because I think Doomsday is more like Kang Dynasty Secret Wars. So I think we're going to have a lot of events occur. So I think at the end of episode 4, we were the closest, and that was still like here. And now I think we're regressed. I think by the end of episode 6, we're about 8 minutes to midnight. But while I have this power, I just have to say that the news today about Blade brought me from 6 to midnight. So I just want to acknowledge R-rated future MCU. Big ol' chubby for ice skating uphill. Very excited. All right.
Deacon Frost,
I
please.
relinquish my time.
What show is this?
I really like what Coy said, and then I'm gonna mostly
Teach you
about
as
the
a
6 to
chubby.
midnight I think actually. But if we're talking Loki and not talking about that, then yeah, I guess I could say, I like this. I could change it a little bit more, but kind of piggybacking on what John said, like in a sense, I think Loki will end in a neat bow in terms of like maybe the TVA, the timelines, and just end these stories and set us up for future stories. But we know that the timelines are still gonna be something, are still gonna be part of the MCU all the way through Secret Wars. So obviously, yeah, Secret Wars situation would be here when everything gets reset, and then we get a new Iron Man, we get new Cap, we get all that. But we're not there yet. So we're pretty close. We're somewhere over there. This is if Blade didn't come out today. But this is what we're, maybe a little bit more of where we're at, because the timelines are still gonna be part of this MCU moving forward, but it's just everything's not gonna be destroyed until Secret Wars. Right?
Snaps for Tom.
This light's
Oh,
so
God.
bright.
I'm tethered.
Oh, sorry, Coy.
This light's amazing. I just love how dramatic. We look like a Frank Miller drawing.
It's awesome.
We almost did the whole show like this today.
Oh, I love that.
We have a base.
Can we do the finale review like this, where it's like so dramatic?
Welcome to the Loki Hour.
Up, John's up.
Oh, here we go.
Okay, a couple things. We don't know when this takes place. We don't know when season 2 of Loki takes place in terms of the rest of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This could take place fucking 5 minutes before Kang Dynasty.
Oh,
right?
Interesting.
We could be here. But
I dig that.
I think
Whoa.
What?
Whoa.
let me explain.
Whoa.
Last
Free
week,
Iron Man.
Yeah.
we
What?
got an article in Variety.
Very credible.
Blade
Marvel
1. He's going back to Blade 1,
Marvel.
guys. 98.
Considering
What?
replacing Jonathan Majors' Kang with Dr. Doom.
Yes.
People have come out since then and debunked that story, saying that's not their plan. So this is why I think we are very far away from Doomsday. A few more phases.
Okay. Where's the dad joke award? Where's
Thank
the
you.
award for the
I rest
dad
my
joke?
case.
Doomsday. Get it?
Oh,
We're here.
that just.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God.
Exactly.
Oh my
I waited five.
Exactly.
I waited 5 Doomsday episodes to make that
he
joke.
Did, here. Here's your trophy.
My favorite part was
With
Evan just being so
here's
hurt
your
by
official
that.
trophy for the Dad's Day of
Oh,
the episode award. Dad joke of the episode.
There it is. There it
you
is.
go.
I'm the only father in this room. It really means a lot to me.
That's true. That's how you know it's bona fide. I actually have a kid, so that's
Yeah,
how you know
only
it's,
you can pass the baton.
That's how you know it's
also,
true. There
Thor,
you go.
now a father.
Thor, brother of Loki. See, it's all connected, guys. MCU, it's all connected.
That was beautiful. Doomsday. It was worth waiting 5 episodes.
Good. Hey, that's it for us today. Make sure you subscribe to the Breakroom channel on YouTube and give us a follow on Twitch, where we do these videos live every weekday.
at
Plug
my
socials if
ancestors'
you like.
statues of
Plug
Peter Sheeran
Breakroom
over here.
socials if you don't want to plug yours.
Follow me at Coy Jandreau, at CoyJandreau on TikTok and Twitter and Instagram. And I've been doing a lot of comic book breakdowns, so if you're enjoying Loki, I gave a bunch of Kang Rex. If you're overwhelmed by like a 700th issue, I say where to jump on. I just did one yesterday about Shocker. I'm doing one tomorrow about Kraven. And I am more excited for the R-rated MCU potential, because kids that were born when Iron Man came out are now 16. They can drive, and people that were 5 then can legally drink. It's time to mature up the MCU, so this is a good sign they're doing that between Deadpool and Blade. Your boy's stoked.
My dad dragged me to see that movie.
Really?
Yep.
How
Didn't
old
want
were
to
you?
see it, and then it blew my mind.
Oh, and you were younger, because you're a little younger than me. So yeah.
Figure
I
out
was
the
gonna
math.
say I was 40 when I went to
14,
see Iron Man 1,
15
so
years
now
ago?
I'm 80, and now I feel like a
I
real
was
old
15.
man.
Well, because yeah, it was 15 years ago. So it's so strange to me that it's just now taking like.
I didn't even think of that till you mentioned.
If
I mean,
you're
that's
5 when you
crazy.
saw Iron Man 1, you can drink.
That's
I mean,
nuts.
or within months.
Hold on.
That's nuts.
Or within
Hold
months.
on. You're Irish.
Yeah, I mean, I
Well,
could drink
some
9
place-
years after Iron Man if I was 5.
I think the drinking age in Guam is 18, so there you go. If you're in Guam,
Whoa.
you can drink right now.
By all
Watch
means.
Iron
But
Man
it's
1.
fascinating that it took, I mean, the universe needs to mature. I think
Right,
it's a really
right.
good sign. TVMA, Echo, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, I'm on Tom on the mic on all the stuff, and yeah, you can find me there too if you like. I'll do a Banshees of Inisherin and like John over here. You can find me
You know
there. You
what's
can find
fucked
me
up?
anywhere.
I think your Irish accent's better than mine, and I'm Irish.
And as the Irishman on the couch, I will not be doing one out of respect for my people.
Oh man. Well, I think I'm a little Irish, so.
Oh, okay. So there's Irish across the
there's
board.
Irish a little bit,
Most
yeah.
Irish, probably second most
Least.
to least.
My
Yeah,
23andMe was just, you're a lucky charm. Like, I got an 85.9% Irish. I was
Yeah?
like,
In
good
fact,
God.
in fact, you're so Irish you should see a doctor.
Yeah, no, it's really, I was eating a potato as I took the
A
test.
concern.
Yeah.
Drinking a Guinness.
Hey,
yeah.
that's it for us today. Thank you so much. We'll be here every day this week. It's a great week to be a Marvel fan. We'll see you tomorrow.
Woo.